The Eureka Stockade is one of the most celebrated battles in Australian history. But the meaning of this bloodshed was not settled on the Ballarat goldfields.
It was settled in the courts of Victoria, in a series of trials that galvanised the colony and transformed a miners' protest into a fight of the people against tyranny. It gave birth to a legend written not in blood, but in the verdict of a jury.
The 13 men who were rounded up and charged with high treason had come from all over the world to make their fortune on the Victorian goldfields. And these Europeans and Americans had brought with them democratic ideas. Ideas that had turned to bloodshed.
Move on in, lads.
Now, these men could end up on the end of the rope.
That foul thing has it been emptied in a month?
You want it empty? Be my guest. They're gonna make you swing first, Ace. You know that.
If any of us be dragged out to that lockup, we're not having a miner's license. Will 1,000 of you volunteer to liberate that man? Will 2,000? And are you prepared to die?
Hayes and the other 12 prisoners had rebelled against the requirement to have one of these on their person at all times. It's a gold miner's licence, costing 30 shillings a month. That's about a week's pay in 1854. But it wasn't just the cost that had the miners up in arms. On the diggings around Ballarat, many of the police were brutalised ex-convicts, uniformed thugs. And if a miner didn't have one of these on him, these officers of the law could grab him, drag him before a magistrate and lock him up.
In 1853, when Charles Hotham became the new Governor of Victoria, the miners saw in him the hope of a fairer deal. But his government was broke. It needed the steady flow of cash from mining licences. And so his men kept tightening the screws until they pushed the miners into armed defiance. For protection, the men built a stockade. But before dawn on the morning of the 3rd of December 1854, Her Majesty's forces stormed the miners' safe haven, guns blazing. By the time the battle was over, 24 miners and 5 soldiers lay dead.
The government brought 13 of the rebels to Melbourne to be tried for treason. If found guilty, they would hang.
The prosecutor was the Attorney General William Stawell. He was a passionate believer in the future of the colony. He'd campaigned to end the transportation of British convicts to Australia and was a key architect of Victoria's new constitution for self-government. But he was no Democrat. He believed that only men with a substantial income should be allowed to vote. In Stawell's view, the wholesale democracy that the rebels were advocating was both a dangerous and radical idea.